Okay, so picture this. You're finally in France, about to enjoy some incredible food and wine, but there's just one tiny problem.
Your French is a little, how do you say not so good?
Yeah, maybe un, deux, trois is about the extent of it. But don't worry, because today we're doing a deep dive into all the amazing ways you can enjoy France, even if you don't speak French fluently.
Exactly. We've got a stack of articles here with tons of ideas and activities perfect for English speakers. And honestly, some of this stuff is pure genius.
I was so impressed. Like, I had no idea there were so many options. So let's jump right in. First up, let's talk about those who want to actually learn some French while they're on vacation. Have you ever heard of immersive schools for kids as young as 3?
I have. It sounds kind of crazy at first, but when you think about it, it actually makes perfect sense. At that age, kids are total sponges. They absorb language so easily.
Right. It's like they're learning their native language all over again. So these programs are all about making learning fun and engaging.
Exactly. We're talking games, creative workshops, everything's in French, but it's all about playful learning. So they're picking up the language naturally without even realizing it.
That's incredible. It's like a total immersion experience for them.
Yeah.
And the best part is these programs aren't just in Paris. They're popping up all over France.
Exactly. You can find them in Provence, the Loire Valley, you name it. So you can combine language immersion with exploring a specific region that interests you.
I love that. Imagine your little ones learning French while surrounded by vineyards or lavender fields. It's like something out of a movie.
It really is. And speaking of kids, these articles also had some great tips for families traveling with teenagers who might not be as gung-ho about learning a new language.
Okay, that's a whole other challenge, right? Teens can be a tough crowd to please.
They can, but these articles had a really interesting suggestion: bilingual summer camps.
Bilingual summer camps. Tell me more.
So basically, they offer the classic summer camp experience, canoeing campfires, making s'mores, but they incorporate French language learning into all the activities.
That's brilliant. So it's like the best of both worlds. They get to have fun with other kids their age, but they're also immersed in French language and culture.
Exactly. And these camps are often located in really cool regions of France, like the Dordogne or the Pyrenees. So they're getting a taste of authentic French life, too.
I love that idea. Okay, but what about those of us who maybe aren't looking to become fluent in French? We just want to enjoy our vacation without feeling totally lost.
Well, you're in luck because these articles had a ton of ideas for that, too. One thing that stood out to me was museums. Lots of museums in France now offer audio guides in English.
Oh, that's a good point. I've definitely been to museums where I wished I had an audio guide to give me more context about the art or the history.
Right. It makes such a difference. You can wander through the Louvre or the Musée d'Orsay at your own pace and actually understand what you're looking at.
And you don't have to feel like you're missing out on any of the important details.
Yeah. Exactly. And if you're looking for something a little more interactive and maybe a little less serious, a lot of people don't realize that escape rooms are huge in France right now.
Oh, that's interesting. I never would have thought of doing an escape room in France.
Well, get this. A lot of them rely heavily on visual clues and puzzles. So you don't necessarily need to speak French fluently to figure them out.
That's so clever. So you're still getting that immersive cultural experience, but you're not totally reliant on language.
Exactly. And think about it. You're working together with a team, maybe even some locals, trying to solve puzzles and escape. It's a great way to break the ice and connect with people, even if you don't speak the same language. And who knows, maybe you'll even learn some French along the way from your fellow escape artists.
There you go. See? Learning doesn't have to be painful.
Yeah.
All right, so we've talked about museums and escape rooms, but what about something a little more active? For those of us who want to experience the great outdoors while we're in France.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. And you're not going to believe this, but the articles actually had a bunch of ideas for active travelers who maybe don't speak a lot of French.
Really? Like what? I'm having trouble picturing this.
Well, for starters, water sports. So many of the coastal areas in France, especially the touristy ones, are used to dealing with people from all over the world.
Right, that makes sense.
So a lot of the water sports centers offer instructions and even guided tours in English.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So you could be like kayaking along the French Riviera or learning to surf in Biarritz and understand everything the instructor is saying.
Exactly. And it's not just limited to water sports either. Think about all the incredible hiking trails France has to offer.
Okay, yeah. I can see that working. I bet a lot of hiking guides speak English.
They do, especially in the more popular areas like the Alps or the Pyrenees. So you can enjoy those breathtaking views and learn about the local flora and fauna without having to worry about a language barrier.
That's so cool. It's like the best of both worlds. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, But I want to shift gears a bit and talk about families traveling with kids. Because not all kids are mini language enthusiasts.
Well, tell me about it.
Well,
Some kids are definitely more open to new experiences than others.
exactly. So what about those kids who might feel a little overwhelmed or lost in a country where they don't speak the language?
Well, the articles had some really reassuring advice for those parents.
Hmm.
First of all, they emphasize that a lot of the activities we've already talked about are totally kid-friendly.
True. Like museums and escape rooms are fun for the whole family?
Right. And a lot of museums have special exhibits or interactive areas designed specifically for kids.
That's a good point. I've
Yeah.
definitely seen that in museums before.
Mm.
But I'm also thinking about those times when kids just need a break from all the sightseeing and maybe want to connect with other kids who speak English.
Oh, I totally get that. And the articles had some great suggestions for that, too. One thing that really stood out was the availability of English-speaking day camps in a lot of cities and towns throughout France.
Now, that's a fantastic idea. So the kids can spend the day playing games, doing arts and crafts, maybe even learning a little bit of French if they're up for it all while interacting with other English-speaking kids.
Exactly. It's a win-win for everyone. The parents get a little break, the kids get to socialize and have fun, and everyone's happy.
And it's not just day camps either. The articles also mentioned a whole bunch of other activities geared towards English-speaking kids, like sports programs, arts and crafts, cultural workshops, even special tours designed just for families.
Exactly. There are so many options out there.
Yeah.
And I love that they're really catering to these families who want to have that authentic French experience, but also want their kids to feel comfortable and included.
Right, because it's all about finding that balance,
Yeah.
isn't it? Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground here. But the bottom line is you really don't need to be fluent in French to have an amazing time in France.
Absolutely not. With a little planning and an open mind, you can experience the best that France has to offer, from the Eiffel Tower to the French Riviera, even if the only French word you know is bonjour.
So true. And who knows, maybe you'll even pick up a few more words along the way, like croissant and pain au chocolat. Those are essential French vocabulary right there.
Absolutely essential. But in all seriousness, I think the biggest takeaway here is that language shouldn't be a barrier to experiencing the world. Whether it's France or any other country, there are always ways to connect with people and cultures, even if you don't speak the language.
I couldn't agree more. So to all our listeners out there planning their next adventure, don't let a little language barrier hold you back. Embrace the challenge, be open to new experiences, and most importantly, have fun.
Exactly. And bon voyage.
Until next time, everyone.